direct control. Okay. On the other hand, a positive externality, that's obviously the demand side market failure. What is wrong with our demand here? Are we over or under? We're under allocated. How do we fix it?
Subsidies.
Perfect. You guys are well prepared. Okay. We're also going to promote growth, and we're also going to promote full employment. Other roles that the government has is the right to coerce. In the case of Microsoft and Bill Gates and that whole monopoly thing, did the government force Bill Gates to do what they want him to do?
Yeah.
They absolutely did. Because this is what he's afraid of. If the government wants you to do something, folks, they may put you in jail, i.e. Robert Kraft. Okay? They may fine you for pollution loss. Okay? As we just found out, that ExxonMobil was just found out to have dumped 600 gallons of waste into the Gulf of Mexico. Okay? Last week. They may take your business license and say, you know what? You probably really shouldn't be part of our economic system. They may also force economic efficiency. Okay? They may step in and say, you know what? We need to be as economic efficient as possible. They may step in and say, hey, this is how you should control your factory's production. Does it sound a little bit like a command economy sometimes? Yeah, that's why when we sat there, we put market economy up here and command economy down here. Which way did we say the United States was sliding? Down towards the command economy. Okay? The government's role is growing as we go along. Other things that they can do, they can correct for market failures. And we've already talked about this. What they can do is for positive externalities, they can do a subsidy. For a negative externality, they can tax, they can do a direct control, or they can do what we've already referred to as a cap and trade. What type of tax will we probably see here? We want to really get on this one single thing.
Govarian?
Direct.
Pugovian tax. It's a Pugovian tax, okay?
What does that mean?
Might be something, hint, what you want to know. Okay? The other thing that they may do, folks, is they may try to reduce private sector economic risks. Anytime any of this stuff happens, the government needs to step in, okay? Blackmail, theft, discrimination, contract refusal, those types of things, the government needs to step in. And so hopefully you're seeing, as much as we've said that market failures and price ceilings and price floors and so forth are not always the right thing, we can see that there is a role. And the way you should be thinking about this is, remember that circular flow model from chapter 1? We had the businesses over here, with the households here, and we showed that the businesses are basically funneling goods and services to the households, and the households are giving that factory's production. The government should be right in the middle of that circular flow model. If you want to put everything I just said and put it into a conceptual way, the government should be right in between there someplace, okay? But that being said, the government still fails. And we have to kind of find out why. And it's not just little failures. Sometimes it's just stupid stuff. And I will probably get a little bit uppity here a little bit, but I will try not to preach. But the government failures, folks, is just, in some cases, it's what is called directing and managing the government, okay? Part of it, the government doesn't have an invisible hand. This is the single biggest thing, okay? There is no incentive. There is nothing. If President Trump has a great day today, it's not like he can go, hey, if I work really hard today, I'm going to make more profit here today, okay? There's nothing telling A.B. Klobuchar, you know what, if I do a great job being a senator today, I'm going to profit a little bit more. There is no incentive here, folks. And so if the government screws up, there's no benefit. If they screw up, is there a whole lot of cost? There is. But there's no benefit. And it's a real big problem in a market economy type of government. The other side is just the massive size and scope. There are 500 agencies, most of which you will probably never hear of in your life again. and there are 4.2 million people who are federal employees. Of those 4.2 million employees, bless you, that we have in the 500 agencies, how many of those do we elect federally? Anyone? This is a college government question. You should know the number exactly, by the way. Yes. No, we do not directly elect 4.2 million people.
36.
Come on.
1.
Okay, let's start here.
President.
How many presidents do we elect?
One.
How many senators do we elect?
I don't know.
100. How many members of the House do we elect?
300.
What? 435, right? So we elect how many elected officials? Good job. I knew we could get to it. Here's the problem. There are 536 elected officials, folks, in charge of 4.2 million people. Does that seem plausible? I struggle with 4 kids, okay? How the heck could 536 people manage 4.2 million? And the answer is they probably can't. They do the best they can, but imagine, to make sure that we're doing all those government roles, imagine the paperwork. Imagine the files. Imagine the emails. Imagine the texts. Imagine all the communication that has to happen. And it all has to be documented, by the way. It is just adding up. And then there's an aggregation problem. What happens is, let's take the I-94 exit that's coming this summer, okay? Is that a federally funded project? It is. It's on the interstate. It has to be, okay? Do you think President Trump woke up last year and goes, you know what we really need? We need an exit, a third one in Alexandria, Minnesota. I'm going to work really hard and go get that. I'm pretty darn sure that Colin Peterson, Amy Klobuchar, and Tina Smith also did not wake up and go, you know what, we need a, no. Somebody at a lower level said, hey, here's a good idea. Pass it on to the next person. Pass it on to the next person. By the time it's kind of like doing the phone game. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know if you guys do that anymore, but when I was a kid, we did that because we didn't have phones. But what's going on is the information just gets passed on and just poorly starts to get passed on. It's the same thing here. There's an aggregation problem here, okay? And finally, there's a lack of accountability. There's also an inefficient problem. Does every elected official know what exactly is going on in the committee that they're in charge of, or what's going on in their state? They don't, okay? I have a bad feeling that if we went and asked Amy Klobuchar, hey, what do you think of the third off-ramp that's coming in Alexandria, Minnesota? She'd lean over to somebody and somebody would probably be whispering, it's coming in Minnesota. She doesn't know, okay? I hope she knows, but I don't know if she does, okay? And it doesn't matter if it's Republican, Democrat, they probably just don't know. And so there is an inefficient. The problem is, too few elected officials, the bureaucracy, it's just the size and scope. And so what are some of these problems that we have? And what does failures actually really mean here? Government failure, folks, just think inefficiency. Where does being inefficient? And there's 3 basic problems that we have to talk about for at least today, and then we'll come back and we'll get rid of the rest. The first one is just the principal agent problem, okay? Now, I'm going to give you an example in the private sector, and I think if I give you an example of a private sector, it helps to make the public sector all of a sudden more clear. Last week, one of the more controversial things that happened in the business world was AGI. Anyone know what AGI is? Some of you might have it. Anyone know what they do? They sell what? No, insurance. Some of you guys might have AGI, car insurance, or health insurance. It is the single largest insurance company in the United States. So here's what they did last week. Their person, their CEO of their company, which in this case we're going to say is an agent, said, we want to have the people who sell our insurance be happy. So what he did was he rented out the entire Vail, Colorado ski area. He rented out all the hotels, all the condominiums, all those things, all the timeshares, and he invited every single insurance agent around the United States. Says, come to here for 4 days. We'll pay for all your food. We'll fly you out. We'll pay for all your skiing, rentals if you need it. Bring the family. We got covered. We just want to make you very happy to be with AGI. Okay? It costs, and what is believed, folks, in excess of $12 million. Now, I own AGI stock. I really do. If I'm the shareholder of that, and I just saw that Alan Smith, the CEO of AGI, just spent $12 million on a ski trip in Vail, Colorado, am I happy? No. The principal agent problem, folks, is there's a difference of opinion on how decisions should be made. The principal in this case, the shareholders, think that the agent is not doing the right thing. Now let's put this in terms of government. Who is the agent and the principal agent problem in our government? The elected officials. Who are the principals in our government? The voters. Do sometimes the elected officials do things that the voters don't want done? Probably. Okay? I have a feeling if you went based off the gun rights, we'd probably have some different opinions in this classroom. Some people would probably sit there and go, yep, Colin Peterson voted the right way. But you know what? Colin Peterson did not vote the right way. There's a principal agent problem. Okay? And it's a big concept in economics. Another problem, or another government failure, folks, is the special interest effect. And these are the last two we got to talk about. Special interest effect, and again, I know you guys talk about this in government, and so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about this, is where a small group or maybe a single person has a belief that this is the way something should be done. And so what they do, folks, is they start to influence our government. How can we influence our government? Charitable contributions, hire lobbyists, okay? Make sure that my priorities circumvent the majority here. What we see here, folks, is the minority's rights are being accepted in special interest effect. The majority. Is what's being done for the small group always what's best for the United States? No. Does it happen? All the time. Okay? That is a government failure. There's something seriously wrong. The other one is collective action problem, where what's going on here, folks, is earmarks. You're sometimes referred to as pork, where maybe there's a senator from a certain state that goes, you know what, I'm going to go to Congress and I'm going to ask for money for this state. Does it help the United States collectively? It doesn't. But you know what? I want this for my state. I want this road built, or I want this museum built, or I want this school built. But it does not collectively happen to help the United States. And the thing is, folks, is we're starting to see more and more of this. In 2017, there's $6.8 billion worth of pork. In 2018, it's $14.7 billion. We saw a 116% increase in the amount of pork. And is this pork always good? Are these little specifically designated expenditures, are they always good things? No. Sometimes, yeah, they're building a road, or maybe they're building a bridge, or but I'm going to argue some of these are bad. How do I know? These are some of the earmarks that we've seen as of recent. They're ridiculous. We spent $5 million last year, taxpayers' money, to give money back to tropical fish breeders because they transported their fish incorrectly from the Indian Ocean to the United States because of a virus. What was the virus caused by? They're flying them on planes. Basically, the fish got air sick. Stupid is as stupid does. Okay? We gave $5 million though for that. Charlie Rangel, who was a Democratic New York congressman, got $2 million to build a monument, 15-foot statue, gold-plated, of himself. you have to ask yourself, what the heck is going on here? Chuck Hagel spent $1,000 last year to rent out a cinema so he could watch a movie that is like 20 years old by himself and is not a good movie. We all know National Treasure is better than National Treasures 2. Okay? Is this good use of our money? No. But what's going on, folks, is the money's being spent. And so this is government failure. And realize I can show you again and again. George Voinovich built a museum for how to shave. Yes.
My God.
Mike Castle spent $19 million on a free clam program to benefit people who had never eaten clams.
Hey, let's go.
We spent $19 million, and they literally went around. Jade, have you ever eaten clams? Okay, here you go. Please try them. That's what it was.
Please try.
That's bad use of funds. Amy Klobuchar spent $2.8 million to increase awareness of Amy Klobuchar.
That's, yeah.
Should that be public money, though? I question that. She privately funds it, I'm fine. I don't know if I want, awareness of Amy Klobuchar. I might as well get awareness of Ty Granning, okay? $213,000 was spent last year on olive fruit fly research in France. 1.2 million is to study the breeding habits of woodchucks. I'm sorry, I can help you. Male woodchuck, female woodchuck. Stuff happens. Okay? $150,000 to study the Hatfield-McCoy feud that happened in 1872. $1 million to study why people don't ride bikes to work. They're lazy. Give me my $1 million. Here's one of my favorite, $218,000 to teach college students how to watch television properly.
Can you explain how that?
Yes, I can. The problem was kids were not sitting upright in a chair. They were laying down on a couch, or they're curling up in a chair, or they were sitting on the floor, and their belief was it was causing health problems and causing back problems. So they did a whole campaign where when you go to college next year and you go into a little student lounge, there will be a sign probably going, here's how you should properly watch TV. $218,000. I can go again. $337,000 to give rabbits a Swedish massage. $171,000 to teach monkeys how to gamble. $1.5 million to make a video game called America's Army that ISIS is currently used to train their soldiers. I can go on forever, by the way. $113,000 to build a preservation society for video games. I don't understand what maybe. $600 million in retirement benefits to people who have actually deceased already. We handed out $600 million, folks, of money. We don't know who it went to. And by the way, that's the best we've done in a while. Okay, I actually looked it up. Last year, we actually gave over $1.3 billion of money to deceased people that we just don't know. Okay. My favorite one is this one. The Road to Nowhere. Has anyone ever heard of this? It is in Alaska. What's going on here, folks, is unemployment in Alaska was going up. And so the people of Alaska, as a group, went to House and they went to the Senate and said, you know what? We need money to build a road. Whenever someone needs jobs in their state, they always say, we need to build a road. Okay? Here's the problem with this road. They just started building it. And they started going in directions, and what happens is, it ended up in a spot, which is right here, and you can see the build. This spot where it ended is 200 miles away from the closest town. It literally goes to nowhere. You get to this point and you follow the road forever, and you come to this stop and you look around and you're in the middle of nowhere. Now here's the funny thing is, the road would have continued, except what happened? It ran into a river. So it had to stop. Guess what started getting built last year, Spencer
A
Johnson?
bridge to nowhere.
The bridge to nowhere. Another $70 million. This is a fantastic road, and realize it is on my bucket list to drive this road someday. Okay?
How are you?
Yeah.
Gas, would that be a problem?
Gas is a major problem. People who are, there's actually signs as you go along, and I'm sure we have to spend money on that. Signs that say, hey, you must have this much gallons of gas to continue. There's actually a checkpoint that say, they will check you to see, do you have gas? If you don't have gas, there's a federal person there to turn you around.
That person probably.
Because they're gonna have to rescue you
That's
if you
a
don't.
job.
Okay? This is misuse of funds, folks. It is a government failure. Okay? So, we have a quiz here today. If you create an environment that separates you from the people sitting next